Hey, folks, welcome here. I just want to, before we get started, I want to outline something. Jason and I have braved Snowmageddon 2026 to come down here and bring you some meaningful content while you're snowed in to into your house. Jason,
Yeah.
what's up, man?
I don't know. It's been a weird week, right?
It has been a weird week.
You know, from Iran to, well, pretty much run the gamut.
Yeah, you name it.
It's all been messed up. But I don't know. Do you ever have those weeks where you feel like your shit's together, but you're on edge, you're angry, you're kind of like you're prepping for the grind and you don't know what the grind is?
Yes, I know exactly what you mean.
That's where I am.
And then you get slapped in the wiener on like Tuesday morning with some bullshit, and then your whole week is shot. That type of thing.
No, just it's like that on edge moment, you know. It's like the pre-movement jitters, I would call them. Like before you're going on a convoy that you didn't want to go on, or you're going somewhere where you don't want to be, and you're just you're on edge, and any little thing will set you off.
Yeah,
You know, not set you off like into a tizzy, but you're on edge, you're geared up, and you don't know why.
Well, I think that you have those moments in which just one more straw, and whoever's in front of me better look the fuck out. Because not that you're going to beat anybody up or kill anybody, but if you have a small little outburst, right? Because
right,
your barrel is bubbling over. Yeah, dude, I get it, and quite often I get it. Sometimes at work with customers who are unreasonable. And then sometimes it derails the rest of my afternoon.
Right.
Just pissed.
Well, I think, and again, thank you, Alex Jones. You know, I keep listening more and more. I don't want to go down they're not wormholes, right? They're not go trails to nonsense. They're real. They're just really hard to wrap your mind around. Like this Iranian thing. You know, and as veterans, I think we truly do look at things a little bit differently.
Sure.
I mean, of course, we've got some of those commie pussies that wear the uniform too. They typically see it like the media feeds it to them because they're too inept to fucking form their own opinions on something based upon factual information in front of their eyes. They'll get it from their emotional papoose and hand that out through their mouth. Thank you very much. But I digress. As we watch this conflict in Iran, because of course it's not a war.
No, it's a conflict.
It's conflict.
Yeah.
You know, we haven't declared war since.
It'll be over quick, so just be patient while you're paying $3.90 for gas all of a sudden again. Yeah, just be patient.
Yeah. You know, and again, and that's the whole thing. Like the United States has 214, I believe when I saw it, 214 days worth of fuel before this interruption would start to affect us.
Hold on, 214 days of just regular everyday usage by the country.
Crude everything. That's so what I saw was a breakdown of by country, you know, who is the most impacted by fuel shortages.
Oh,
we were amongst the top, of course, with pretty hefty reserves in every little pocket. Not to include, I'm sure, who knows? I'm sure Biden pissed away all the Federal Reserves, but the Federal Reserves aren't like we think of them. They're not stored at a federal facility. They're all stored at the regular facilities earmarked for federal use. But we've got a lot of it. And the Straits of Hormuz account for, depending upon who you listen to, like 20 or 30% of the global supply. Correct. And then where does that global supply go?
Well, around the globe, but I would imagine most of it goes to the biggest consumers, right? Us, China, Russia, maybe India.
China and India. That's where the vast majority, and including Russia, of course. But that's where a vast majority of that goes. So, you know, is it truly impactful to us to get kicked in the dick when you go to Quick Trip, Holiday, Supermarket, insert the gas station name of your choice that you go to? Mm-hmm. To get pounded like this right now?
Are you asking, is it worth it?
No. Is it real? It's bullshit.
Okay, continue.
Well, if we have 200 days of fuel available and these speculators get in, and how the front door speculators are allowed to manipulate our economy so easily manipulate our economy, where you see a situation where we see these massive gas prices spike. That's a tough one. And it's not
Someday.
even because of the crude that's moving around on the other side of the globe.
Right. So maybe the idea is, well, we have 200 something odd days of reserves, but that's like last resort. We're not touching it. And
That's
I don't
not
know.
it at all.
I suppose that there's an argument to be made any path that you want to come at it. The reality is, what the fuck is the truth about why we're doing all of this in Iran? The president says, well, and many others, like we've been hearing for years, right? Like, well, they were days away from a nuclear bomb. We had to do something. Okay, well, they've been saying that for years. So what really is the reason, right? Is it that Iran was going to take over the world and do all this fucking bullshit that we need to kill them all? Or is it about oil? Or is it about supremacy in the Straits of Hormuz and who's going to be the biggest dick in the strait? What's the real reason? Is it Israel's bidding? I mean, there's all kinds of narratives.
Well, exactly. But number one, who gives a shit? I don't care. I don't care why. What I care about is if you're going to go do it, have something in place, have a protection mechanism so it doesn't affect us as greatly as it seems to.
Yes, that would be nice if they thought about, well, is this going to negatively affect the American people before they do shit like this? Right. Yes, but I don't know that that's at the top of the list.
Well, it never is. It's like, why? Why are we never the priority? And I'm sure there's going to be some story being told, kick out 75 years from now when all the intelligence briefings that were being given to the president showed why he had to do it. Well, it's almost by design now. You're 4 generations removed, so the narrative can shift any way that the media wants you to. Yeah. And that's what we're saying. Like, turn off your TVs before, and thank you, smart ass, for your wonderful comments saying, well, yeah, that shuts you off. We're not the television. And we're nothing. We are a small speck of nonsense floating around. You and I don't have like a heavy voice, but you need to be listening to the people that are paying attention to the real things that are going on versus what Fox, MSNBC, NBC, CBS are telling you, because that's what you're spoon-fed. So you can feel kind of good about it or kind of bad, depending upon how they want to spin it that day. And who gives it? Oh, I don't think we're throwing crocodile tears that Khomeini is gone.
No,
right?
I don't know.
Could not care less. I mean, bummer, dude.
You wrong place, wrong time.
You've pushed the edge for a period of time. You no longer can push the edge. Next man up.
Well, and the other thing I wonder is how many times as a country, America, are we going to have to bear this type of shit? Whether it's right, wrong, or indifferent. Whether Trump's decision to do what he's doing in Iran is good or bad or right or wrong, how many times do the American people have to just say, okay, all right, well, let's do it just this one time, and then let's get back to helping the American people. So my question is, or would be, to the president, if I had the opportunity to ask him any questions, how do you see this bettering the lives of me and my kids? How do you see this bettering the lives of Jason and his family? And if there's a good, reasonable answer, of course I'll be supportive. But sometimes it seems like the little specks of shit, like you and I floating around in the atmosphere of America, they don't give a shit. They don't give a shit about how it affects us. And they give us some story about how it's going to protect the greater good, and America as a whole is going to be better off. And this is going to kickstart the golden age of America, the new golden age. Well, okay. But
somebody's got to fucking start.
But I just paid another $40 extra for gas.
It's gas. And we continually look to Washington, D.C., because Washington, D.C. certainly is the head of the animal, or the head of the snake. That's killing us by choking every penny it can out of each and every one of us. But at the same time, we're all looking to Washington, D.C. We're not paying attention to our own states. I mean, look at us from Minnesota, what we've been looking at. And, we don't see, of course, again, and change the phraseology And then it creates a completely different storyline. So it's not a tax, it's now a fee. Just look at all the things that we pay for on a local to state level in Minnesota.
Right.
Look how many of your dollars. I mean, I don't remember what sales tax was as a kid. You know,
wasn't it like 5.43 or 6.43 or something?
Well, you and I being kids, I guess, were considerably different because I'm so much older than you.
Well, yeah, when you were 10, I think I was like 4.5.
Yeah, it's 6 years. He talks about it like it's a 5-generation gap.
You were putting the shoes on Custer's horse, and I wasn't even a glimmer in my daddy's nutsack yet.
That's true. Jesus. But
anyway, I digress.
But that was one thing. That was always the thing. And now it's usage tax and it's all these other things. And you see states that are talking about, I don't remember if it was vehicle or housing. Every year, 9% you're going to pay in taxation. And then you look around in these states, these cities, these counties, and you see what kind of bullshit service they get from the governance that they currently have. Right? In Minnesota, our gas tax, it's not going to fix our roads. I want to see open source accounting on every dollar that gets brought in by the fuel consumption tax or fee or whatever non sequitur they want to put behind it, and see how much of that money gets taken and put away for the roads. I want to see every fucking dollar that's been taken from every smoker, every tobacco user in Minnesota, and you show me where you've been taking care of those folks who have been affected by smoking their cigarettes. I mean, other than a 1-800 number that you can call into to get some smoking aids and some help.
Yeah.
That's about it. So this other probably hundreds of millions of dollars is being drafted out of people's pockets to go into paying for furry parties and painting sidewalks rainbow colors and all this other bullshit that the government shouldn't have one bit of interest in propagating. You can certainly allow people to be who they are. I mean, that's the beauty of America. But quit pissing away these finite resources that we have on bullshit that doesn't truly affect our lives. You talk about cutting postal services to some areas, cutting down to 3 days a week. You hear that?
Yeah, well, yes. And it's funny you bring that up. The mail carrier that comes to the Harley dealership every day was telling us that they are the management at the Postal Service in the St. Paul area. They're trying to cut a lot of people and add an extra hour and a half on to whoever they keep as carriers, whoever has seniority, I suppose. They're going to add an extra hour and a half onto their day to complete the mail routes.
Right.
Well, she was telling us my day's already 10 and a half to 11 hours. So you're gonna knowingly give me a 13 and a half hour day and then make it better because, well, you get a couple hours of overtime. I mean, that's nice. Overtime's nice, but holy shit, 13 hours a day, 6 days a week?
Schlepping mail.
That's insane.
Well, it's probably, boy, does it have anything to do with the unfunded liabilities that our government builds out by everybody getting offered retirement after 20 years, 20 minutes of service for the rest of their life? Show me a business that could do that. I mean, there was another complete fleecing when businesses had to create that windfall of retirement for its employees before they moved us into the 401 programs where we're all self-directed now. That was a big burden shift lifted from big business and thrown squarely on the back of Joe Consumer, right? Now, don't get me wrong. Huge fan of it. I'd rather have control than somebody else have control. But when we think about like our grandparents and our great-grandparents' retirements, what those looked like, and it's actually probably our grandparents, but for some of you younger folks out there, it was your great-grandparents riding that train. That was like, you want to talk about the Gilded Age of America? There it was.
Yeah.
And that would be rather difficult to go back to, but government still has it. So, okay, maybe you only make 80% of what your peers would make doing a similar job, but I assure you, you work half as hard and your retirement is guaranteed. So for every 5 employees they have, they've got 13 and a half in retirement that they have to pay for. And people are retiring earlier. They're actually realizing that I don't have to run in this rat race bullshit. I'm going to enjoy some of my lighter senior years than all the heavy years.
Well, yeah, I mean, because it's becoming more prevalent, right? That you hear stories or know people who retired last year and now they just been diagnosed with some fucking disease and they got 6 months to live, or they spend 3 years in retirement and then they pass away or whatever. I think people really are waking up to the idea that I want to enjoy the fruits of my labor while I can. Right. I don't know that when anybody's starting work and then they get to the point where they're considering retirement, they go, well, it's going to be a tough fucking road, man. I'm going to work until I'm 68 and I'll spend 3 years in retirement sitting in a chair because I worked myself to death. Yeah. So your hopes and dreams of traveling and camping or taking the kids out or grandkids and playing soccer, whatever it is, it all goes to shit. So I don't blame people for wanting to retire early. In fact, it might be quite a big burden mentally on folks that feel like they got to work until they're 70. But it all depends on how you set yourself up, right? So if you haven't done the work to set yourself up to retire at 52 or 55, well, then you got to work.
Well, yeah, when you're forced into a situation from terrible decision making through your 20s, 30s, and 40s, that's where you're going to find yourself.
Which I think is probably more prevalent now, right? Our young people are just wasting their resources.
Our young people are set up in a situation that even for us was difficult. Theirs seems seemingly impossible.
Insurmountable. Yeah.
Because if you look at what it takes to own a home right now, I mean, it's not even the cycle of poverty that we used to talk about. Now it's almost the cycle of pity. Like you have to make way harder choices. My grandfather lived by whatever, it was the 30-30, 20-10-10. It was kind of old school. I think Dave Ramsey and his nonsense kind of believes in that still to this day. So he's spouting something that's, it's possible, but your earnings need to be so great to afford the quote unquote middle class lifestyle as we knew it growing up, that it's not achievable. When you're looking at, you have to think, say I'm 26 years old, and maybe I got my graduate degree. I'm coming out of school. I want to start my life. My entry job is going to be 6 figures. I'm coming out at 100,000 unless I've got one of those sweet graduate degrees from a liberal arts college. And in that case, I better be great. I better learn how to spell every fucking name right when I'm at Starbucks.
Yeah.
Right? Scratching cash.
If you want a tip.
But for people that went on to grab graduate degrees that they have a place in a technologically advanced society that we live in, like engineering, medicine, they're going to be at 100,000 plus. But this $100,000 entry, that something that I thought, boy, if I ever got to 100,000, I crushed it, right? 100 grand, I couldn't imagine that money as a kid. That doesn't even get you a new car and a down payment on a median home right now.
No, you can't touch a decent new car for less than $40,000.
40, 50 grand.
70 for trucks, 65 for trucks. If you need a truck for your whatever, if you'd like a truck, right. I mean, you're not, unless you get one that's got 150,000 miles on it, you better be willing to spend some cash.
But just think about how daunting that is. I mean, you went through a period. Now these kids are seeing, you don't see those. Remember when we were growing, I remember when I first got my job at the bank, I drove a $500 green minivan. Right? This thing still smelled like the fucking McDonald's that mom and her kids had ground into the carpet on that thing for a decade. And I literally paid $500 for it because it had a broken water pump, which I fixed in my front yard for like $80. I'm like, I got a car. It's just a car, because all it does is get me from point A to point B. Right. I could not give two shits. Cash for Clunkers comes along, wipes out that entire market of vehicles. They're gone. Did you see? That was kind of, if you're truly conspiratorial, can you see what that did to the marketplace?
Oh, well, that was, in my opinion, that was the government's way of getting all those older cars out that do all the pollutants and work into hybrids and
under the
EVs.
guise of environmental control, that green new scam bullshit.
Yep.
They took out all these vehicles that people otherwise would have been able to have a shot at the $1,000 mark or the $2,000 mark, like we had the $500 mark in our day. They're gone. I mean, you go on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace and look up a cheap car.
They have $3,000, $5,000.
It's ridiculous
for something with
and for what it is,
50,000 miles on it.
Right, the bumper is hanging on by a thread. You know, vehicle smokes on startup, but always runs. I mean, these things are shit.
Yeah, dude. And you can go to any dealership now. There used to be, even the big dealerships, they used to have like a $5,000 and under bargain lot. Now it's 15,000 and under is the bargain lot. Yeah, absolutely, man. There has been this manufactured shift for a long time, and I think it's new to me that I thought about looking back and comparing and contrasting. Of course, how long was it after the bargain lots went away that it was the Toyota Prius and this hybrid and the Chevy Volt and the this and the that, and it's way better for the economy, but no one ever told you go out and buy a hybrid or electric car. It's 50 million times more toxic to the environment because there's no way to recycle the batteries. They just throw them in a fucking pit.
Recycling batteries. You've got to upgrade your panel at your house to kick over a 50 amp circuit that you're going to plug in because you have to fast charge. And believe you me, I went through this. You know, we still have one, and it's not because I really gave two shits about the hybrid option. Hybrid option is heavier, which means it has a nicer suspension. The ride was 10 times better,
I'm sure,
than the equivalent vehicle in a traditional naturally aspirated V6.
Well, of course, heavy means more stable, right? Of course.
Well, they have to overbuild.
Yeah.
So heavier frame, like everything about it, and I loved it for that piece. But yeah, it's totally nonsense. You know, I mean, in its prime, we got 21 miles.
Yeah. Hey, man, I feel it.
Right.
I think it's stupid.
Yeah. Now people love them. We live up here, you know, on the tundra. Now we're city adjacent, but we don't have to travel but 60 miles north. And you're going to Casey's gas station. They don't have an electric charger. You know, I thought old Biden and Camel Toe pounded out a shitload of those electric charging stations. I know they spent billions doing
like
so.
$3 or $4 billion. The last I heard about that project, they built this huge like charging lot somewhere, or maybe it was in Iowa, and only like 30% of them worked. And there was billions of dollars, like $1 billion spent on this project, and only 30% of it worked. And allegedly, they never fixed it. It was too expensive to go ahead and fix them. So most of this shit that they use taxpayer money on never even worked, and they're not making it work because it's too expensive to get it to work. Now, who knows if that's true? Who knows what's true at all anymore? But that was the narrative that was put out. That was when they were during the election, right? That was one of the things that they gigged Biden and Harris on. You spend billions of dollars on electric charging stations and they don't fucking work. What are we buying? Well, no, it's okay. We got to get some extra parts. So another couple $100 million in parts for all these stations. Who's paying the fucking bill? Well, you and I are.
Every time.
And I wouldn't even piss on a fucking electric vehicle to put it out if it was on fire. I think they're the dumbest things ever.
But what if, now let me play devil's advocate here. What if Harley created a fully electric bike?
They have. It's called the Livewire.
Shut the front door.
Yep. And it's a piece of shit.
How many units of that particular model did they sell?
I don't even know. I've never researched it. There was only one dealership in Minnesota that chose to sell them. And the reason why that was because in order to sell the Harley Davidson Livewire, the dealership had to invest a massive amount of money
to create the electric
charging
grid.
Stations, the maintenance tools to fix them and change the oil and the batteries or whatever the fuck is in them. And then you had to send at least four to six employees, techs, mechanics, salespeople, parts people to be trained on all the things that go on this thing and how it works. Mainly the mechanics and the salespeople. The parts people are pretty easy, right? This part goes here, this number.
Yeah, you don't have any direct involvement with the process.
But they want people to be aware of how the bike works, how it functions. They want you to ride it so you could talk to customers about it. Only one dealership in Minnesota did it. And it cost $90,000 to get all the shit installed, all the tools, all the training. And dealership owners are already, in my opinion, getting massively fucked over by the motor company. You know, like, for example, Harley does this thing where you can go on the website and you can buy parts or clothes and you pick up at a local store if they have it in stock. Well, we don't get credit for that. Harley Davidson gets credit for that. So if you go on the internet and you order something, I mean, but it's coming out of our inventory.
100%. But that's across the plane.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't matter.
These are just ways that they screw folks over in these places. But the electric bike thing, I think it was more popular in California.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I do ride bikes, but I drive mini bikes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that is my skill. But that's one of the new ones. But to me, riding a Harley, there would be something missing if I didn't have the sound. I mean, it's almost like and again, now this will age me. I loved listening to baseball on the radio.
It's still good.
I don't watch a lot of sports anymore, to be fair. However, the sound, the voice of that announcer is as important as it actually is the game that I'm watching, because I can watch a pretty terrible game with somebody like Dan Gladden when he started to get better.
Yeah.
I mean, his first year, that was tough.
Mm-hmm.
That was hard to listen to. But as he progressed, when he could finally bring forward, you could see the game through his words. I get that with a Harley. The sound, the ride, the feel. I mean, they're not necessarily great handling bikes, from what I've been told from buddies that ride. They're great for what they are, but it's not like a sport bike where you're going to hug every corner and every turn.
No, you got to do a lot of setting up to get it that way. Yes.
You know what I mean? I mean, but for a casual, I buy it, I take it out of the showroom and I go for a ride. I'm pushing like an F-150, and the look and the sound are the two things that you're paying for. And so you took one of the most important pieces of Harley Davidson as a brand and you threw it out. You attached a uterus to it.
Yeah.
With a fucking 800 volt battery or whatever it was, with a 6,000 watt motor and an axle.
Yeah, and in the pamphlet with your owner's manual, it comes with a free diaphragm. Absolutely
right. A referral, especially out in California for your reassignment surgery.
That's right.
Yeah, lock it in, Mrs. Leonard.
You get 15% off the dick chopping surgery. No, but there were people. To be fair, there were people that really liked it and really enjoy it, and for what it is, all right, man. If you like it, Harley has an offering for you. But they were not, in my opinion, not massively successful. Not at all. And furthermore, they don't even look like a Harley. They look like something out of Tron.
Tron, you say?
Now
I'm more interested.
Oh, well, see.
Tron was a dope movie.
Nerd alert. It's all good. But then questions came up like, all right, it was more popular in California. Well, lane splitting is very prevalent in California. Are you going to be on an electric bike that sounds like and splitting lanes on the 101 at 40 miles an hour and people can't hear you or see you coming?
I'm going to be honest with you. If I'm in California, I'd probably wish for the end. So, yeah.
Well, besides the politics, if you get out in rural California, it's pretty beautiful.
I think it's
too bad that it sucks.
I think they're.
I hope that's true, because California is a very beautiful place. It's just the people and the politics sometimes are.
It's funny now we're getting into this because of course this is where our conversations go. But I've got a new friend, but I consider him a pretty good friend. Spent the last 20 years out in California, and he was in the city. This wasn't somebody that lived rural. So his experience was that of, the perceived leftist California city. And he came to Minnesota, Wisconsin, where he was originally from, and was seeing the things that we deal with in Minnesota. And it shocked him. So for anybody out there, because I've always believed that as a Minnesotan, California was way out there. California in their cities has nothing on what we quietly allow to occur in the great state of Minnesota.
I'm sure.
That right there was a wake-up call. And we always felt it, where I was like, oh, yeah, that's nonsense. We shouldn't be doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And then they just quietly did more and more and more. And now when we're looking at it, it's so pervasive.
Yeah. And a lot of us, I'm probably even somewhat guilty of it. A lot of us are guilty of the whole, well, it doesn't affect me, so
Right.
I'll just look the other way and continue on my business, which I understand to a certain extent. But I believe that there are things and reasons for us to sometimes put our nose, not in business that it doesn't belong in, but in places that we can help and we can make a change and we can bring light to the dark, or however you want to phrase it. But I believe in Minnesota, we're really guilty of that. Just saying, well, it doesn't affect me. I don't care.
Do you mind if I just stop us right now and kind of restart a train of thought that I'm having?
Sure.
All right.
It's our show, man. Do whatever the fuck you want.
Hard break. I have some really, I've got some interesting questions that I want to hear your answer and perspective on.
All right, let's do it.
So it kind of goes back to why you originally, you've been podcasting for a long time now.
Mm-hmm.
Richard's out there on the Richard Leonard Show. He's been doing this. He's tried other podcasts with buddies, with his sister.
Yeah, well, that's coming.
That's
still in the works.
It's in the pipeline.
Be fun,
but
hopefully.
Coming. But you've had this drive to do this, and one of the things that got me interested in coming with you is this is therapeutic. And I think sometimes, based upon our conversations, people don't understand what this is actually all about, right?
Sure.
And it's the veteran perspective on what's going on, and I think sometimes we kind of lay that lead behind based upon our experiences. And so, what I'd like to do, just kind of start down a little path here.
Okay.
Richard Leonard.
Yes, Jason.
Being from Minnesota, and we're just going to go back a handful of years, knowing that you have a governor who spoke above his pay grade on what his actual experience was in the military. How did that initially hit you?
What do you mean spoke? What do you mean spoke above his pay grade?
When he called himself a command sergeant major, that he commanded troops, that he had done all these things, when he went out there and he spoke his fiction into reality,
mm-hmm.
What was your guttural reaction to that?
I wasn't when all that went down, to be completely honest, I wasn't 100% in the know about Governor Walz and what had gone on in his career. But I immediately reached out to people that I thought that I served with in the Minnesota Guard. My initial reaction, once I learned a little bit more about him, was that he was a fucking coward. And I thought that it did us as Red Bulls, as 34th Infantry Division veterans or soldiers at the time, I thought it did us a disservice and fucking tarnishes all the work that we as a unit, as an organization have done I just think it puts a tarnish mark on our stuff.
It gives the whole a black eye.
Yeah. And then goes to be the governor of the same state in which he served in, and just doubles down on it. Just doubles down on being a shitbag and a coward.
Yeah, low T Timmy. He literally filled every stereotypical story that I was ever told from Vietnam era and Korea era veterans about the reserve component.
Mm-hmm.
He fit that storyline to a T. And for those of you that don't know it, when the reserve component was set up initially, it was to create a backup reserve force of people basically in the pipeline, not necessarily skilled people, They didn't take a lot of time to train. It was just a way to have a number of able-bodied men ready to go on a moment's notice.
Sure.
So as far as that part is concerned, he at least put his name on the line. I want to give him that. But you're 100% right when you talk about how that makes people that served in the reserve component feel. When you have somebody that's willing to stand out there and bold-faced lie about their experience. David Hackworth talks about at great detail, and it's a wonderful, wonderful book. If you're a listener on Audible, David Hackworth is one of the more intelligent and articulate officers of that era, the Korea, well, the end of World War II, Korea, and pre and Vietnam era. He speaks very eloquently because he lived it.
Mm-hmm.
And when he talks about like the warrior ethos and the way that the military was structured and built, like that was my feeling about the military. That's what I understood it to be. You know, I was shocked when I entered. That's my next question to you was, did you have a great understanding of what the military was before you joined? And then did it either live up or did it let you down in your initial experience?
I did not. When I joined, I did not have a great wealth of knowledge of what the military was, how it worked. In fact, I was reluctant. I was reluctant to join. When I was a kid, I would say around 11 or 12, my mother had told me that she thought it would be a good idea that I consider the Air Force when I am ending my time in high school. And I didn't want anything to do with the military. When I was a kid, dude, my dream was to play football at Notre Dame and then try to figure out how to make it to the show. And then and then that movie Rudy came out, and I was a complete Notre Dame fucking cuck. I had the starter jacket, the hats, the t-shirts, the overalls with the fucking little Notre Dame shirt and one undone so you could see the clover leaf. I was just a cuck for Notre Dame football. And then of course reality hits, right? I got into high school and for whatever reason, looking back on it now, I just didn't want it as bad as I thought I did because I didn't put in the work that was necessary. I went through the motions. I was decent at playing football, so I didn't really work off the field as hard as I should have to excel on the field, if that makes sense. So I just, you get older and people are becoming better than you and bigger and stronger, and you're gaining but staying more the same. And so it kind of evened out. But I ended up joining the military out of kind of desperation. I was living with a family member in their basement. I didn't have a job. My dad took my car away from me because I didn't pay him, which him and I talked about when we were on the show together. And I was way up in like Wyoming, Minnesota with no car and no job and just living in someone's basement and borrowing a car when they had, when they were going to be home and I could go somewhere for an hour. And then somebody was like, hey, Lon, this guy Lon I know, he was like, you're going to fucking join the military because you can't just hide out in our basement forever. You got to do something. And it was either that or be homeless or, figure out something else. So one afternoon he came home from work and he's like, here's the keys to the van. Go see the recruiter. And I was like, I don't know. But for whatever reason, I did it. I ended up going. I went talk to the Air Force guy. They didn't accept me because I had some medical things. The Army had no problems. Don't worry, we'll take care of it, right? And I don't remember exactly if the recruiter told me to lie or whatever, but that classic story, just don't tell them nothing type thing. And I got in and had a pretty full career, I think, but I did not have a preconceived notion of what it was other than what's on TV and the cool ass, Army of One commercials that were on back at the time. The stuff that actually motivated people to like the military that we were able to see in public. And it turns out that it probably saved my life because I probably would have went the other direction for sure. and just being defiant because my dad was a cop, right? And he was always like, just whatever you don't fuck up out here on these streets, because if you go to jail, I'll come there and I'll shoot you myself, son of a bitch. And I get it, right? Yeah. I never got arrested, you know? I probably did some shit I probably should have got talked to or maybe put in handcuffs for, but nobody ever got hurt. I didn't steal from nobody. I just, kid shit.
Okay. So you had no idea about the military. You joined. Did you ever notice that there were always people, regardless of rank, that just kind of had it? Like they had that thing about being in the military. They had an aura about them. They carried themselves differently. They exercised differently. And I'm not saying exercise in the manner of speaking where they went to the gym to work. It's just when they were in uniform, you looked. And if you were casting a movie from the unit that you were in, they were it. You had that. Okay, so you've seen that. Okay, that I think is one of those pieces, again, referring back to Hackworth, that he kind of skates around it. He never spoke but directly. But I think in the military back then, you had a great percentage of men that were exactly that way. And so what we get now is a smattering of those people. And in your experience, those people that were kind of cut out to live that life, right? They weren't there for a fucking retirement. They weren't there for any other reason other than the fact that they wanted to truly serve. How many of them, how long did they last in your experience, the people that you knew?
I don't think they put in full careers. The few that if I had to like give you names, there was only one of those guys that I would say I could identify as that way, and only one of them had a more than a 15-year career.
Wow. Because that's where I see things that we're talking about is important. When you have a job, like there's jobs you can have. The military is just a job. The difference is maybe your rhyme or reason that you get into it. But once you're there are certain people, they are built for the thing that they are a part of.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
How sad a narrative that truly is, or a discussion point that the military loses those people because of what it's become. Because if the military were still the military the way that Pete Hegseth sees it, would you have lost those people, do you believe?
Probably not. You bring up a good point, because I think that a lot of those people in the Minnesota Guard, anyway, for context, a lot of them left after the big long deployment from 05 to 07. Right? They went on deployment, not only, and then we got extended. So it went from 18 months to 22 and a half to 24 months, depending on when you actually got home. And they were just done with it. It was all bullshit. Like, they conditionally promoted a bunch of people to give them more money, and then when we got home, they were going to demote them because they couldn't find them slots. And like, there was just the 30, 60, 90 thing was all fucked up and stupid. And just the ROE was getting way, way stupid when we left, and it was even fucking more dumb when we went back. And so people were just like, they don't want us to be like cops feel, I believe, nowadays. They don't want us to be soldiers. They want us to be what they want us to be.
Right.
And I didn't join to be what some fucking pencil neck prick wants me to be. I joined the infantry to be a fucking infantryman. Yep. And at that point in my career, I knew exactly what that was, because I was in the military. I went in as a 14 Mike, a Stinger missile operator. And you know how they got me to sign up for that? They told me, hey, man, you want to jump out of C-130s with a Stinger strapped to your chest, and as you're falling, if you see a rotary wing helicopter, you can shoot it down before you hit the ground. Fuck yeah. Yeah, I'll do that. You know how many times I've seen a C-130? While I was wearing a uniform anyway? Twice. To fly into Iraq and to fly out of Iraq.
That was it.
Other than that, I've never been in one. So, I mean, like, I don't know. I think that a lot of people who were meant for the job or built for it, they walked away because of all the fucking nonsense, not because they couldn't hack it or not because they accomplished their goals or whatever that is. They left because it got real dumb.
Right.
Real fast.
And I don't think people understand, too, the political climate of the military as a whole.
Well, you live and die by whoever's given the orders.
Right. But the political climate of our country affects our military way more than anybody ever wants to give it credit for. Because, again, if everything were the way that it should be, you should be able to exchange leaders at the highest level without abrupting or changing any military philosophy, tactic, or otherwise. Because the military should always be the military, should always be the military. It operates with a very specific protocol. Doesn't matter who's calling the shot.
Yeah, well, prime example, how did you replace the unit you replaced in Iraq, and how were you replaced? Right? You do left seat, right seat, ride. Here's the rules, right? And here's how the operation is supposed to go.
Mhm.
We have our own TTPs, the little things we do here and there to make it easier, more efficient for us. You can find your own way, but this is the way to do it, right? And so you spend, 2 to 6 weeks doing left seat, right seat rides, and by the end of that 6 or maybe even 8 weeks, well, all right, see you guys. We're gonna go home. You got it, right? And the mission doesn't stop. So the constants have to stay the same. And if we can do it at the shitbag peon infantry level, because I believe that sometimes that's the way they see us from the top, the grunts, why the fuck can't they do it at the top? Why can't you make a seamless transition when all us mouth breathers? I can teach Ty how to lick windows really good. Are you telling me?
Well, he's a natural.
Well, but just for context, right? Like, all I got to do is teach him how to lick windows. I know how to do that. The president knows how to president. The Secretary of Defense knows how to Secretary of Defense.
Right.
Like, why are these things so drastically different? Well, the only answer to that is politics.
Right. Yeah. Political ideology in the military was it was probably the worst thing about being in the military.
Yeah. Well, because that's what we're governed by, but we're not allowed to have our own political ideology.
Well, you can, but you better be
can't
in lockstep.
exercise it.
Well,
Yeah.
you need to be in lockstep with your lower level leadership. So if you get along with the company commander, your life's going to be good.
Yes.
But if your company commander doesn't get along with the battalion commander,
everyone's miserable.
Everything's miserable. And so that's what you always see. And I think that would be the next question to you. In your experience with the field grade officer below, let's just say major and below, how many of those company level command officers did you have a positive experience with early in your career and then at the end of your?
Specifically my company commanders?
Just the ones that company command, lieutenants, everything that went up to the company, everything below major, because really at that point, and I don't remember if you were part of a headquarters unit or what.
My whole career was headquarters, except, well, yeah.
Okay.
I was in headquarters units my whole career.
Okay.
Whether I was in a Bradley or a light infantry.
It was always an HHC.
Scout platoon, like we were the security or the fucking grunts of the unit. Well, I would say when I first got in, I didn't do a whole lot of commiserating with any officers at all.
I'm not saying that, but positive interactions, like
positive interactions.
Lieutenants that you were like, yeah, I can get behind this.
I had a pretty good lieutenants. There were a few that were like, ooh, boy, I hope you're not coming out on mission with us because you're going to get us fucking killed. There were a few of those. But I felt like those guys that were weaker leaders as officers, they kind of knew it. And they did like their minimum time and then they went to a staff position or something. But I had a knack in my career for kind of putting my ears where they didn't belong. Like I would show up to fucking battalion training meetings and just sit in the back and people would look at you and go, what the fuck are you doing here? Just want to know what's up. Right. And so I got to know how higher enlisted people, officers and NCOs a lot better than I probably should have. And so by the time I left the military, I have some pretty good friends still that were majors, captains. Actually, I just ran into a dude 2 weeks ago at my wife's shop that we were in the same platoon together when I first got in 2002. And he's now a lieutenant colonel at the Jock or something, still in. Great guy, So Not a lot, but the ones that were shitty, I can tell you that we kind of, I don't want to say we posed a mutiny, but we forced a couple leaders out of our platoon that we, as a team, we had made the decision together that I don't know that we're going to work well for this guy. And we went through whatever we went through to get another leader assigned to us. They kind of just failed their way out. But anyway, I think that it was rare to find really, really solid leadership. I think I had a lot of pretty good leadership, but solid leadership, not a lot. And I had a fair amount of real poor leadership.
Okay. So was there, but no, when did you join?
02.
02. When did you get out?
February 25th of 21 was my retirement date.
Okay. So you didn't notice a difference between the officer corps over a 20-year period?
The officer corps in general?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
That was the question.
Oh, well, I thought you were asking about my experience, like my leaders.
I feel like he took us.
Boy, we went way around the block to go across the street.
3 lefts for a right.
Well, but for context, my experience with my direct leaders was that. The difference in officer corps in general, it was pussified. By the time I got out,
pretty diluted.
A lot of the staff, well, because I was in the brigade headquarters, a lot of officers. And there's a lot of excuses. It's not I was supposed to do that. It's not my job. It's his job. No, that's his job. Well, gentlemen, we got a fucking mission to accomplish today. So it's somebody's job. What are we doing? Right. And so it was very often, well, I don't know. I'll go ask him.
Okay.
And then finally the platoon sergeant just said, the NCO, this, and this, go, get it done. All right, see ya. But there wasn't a whole lot of communication and organization. It was kind of who's gonna make the boss the most happy to get a better OER, and whose dick can I ride to get a promotion quicker than you. The officer corps, by the time I got out, was all about how can I pose myself in a better position than the next lieutenant so I can get my captain, and how can I be in a better position than this captain to get my major before he does. It wasn't a whole lot of leadership, and
it wasn't about being good. It was, again, coattail riding.
1,000%.
I don't know why I wanted to go down this path today, but
we're down it.
I feel like, as a veteran, those are the things that we see every day in our politicians. There's a distinct correlation between that, because in the military, when you're led by men, things work out. And what you explained to all of us was, as that time went on,
long-winded,
but the truth is still in there, that when you're not led by men, you're led by testosterone males who are jockeying for something that does something better for themselves than for the combined group. You see failure on a more regular basis. And I think that's something that as Americans, we lack the perception and judgment to realize. Because there's also, I hate that alpha male, beta male, all that bullshit. I don't totally believe that that profile is going to define who you are, because there's a lot of fucking blowhards out there just pounding fucking word salad together day in and day out to position themselves as alpha males, when all they are is the loudest chicken shit in the hen house. But real leadership, the leadership that I had when I first got in, was multitudes better than what I saw on my way out, because it was positioning. Because truly, when we deployed, rank was important, because that's what keeps an element in control. But people's experience and who they are was respected. And your rank really didn't mean much other than your paycheck. Because if you had done it, if you had shown that experience, and you were able to train somebody in being able to do what you did, that was, you were the epitome of what you wanted to have around, because you had train the trainer leaders. You had subservient leaders who were never willing to hang somebody out to dry for the betterment of their own careers. Because I remember those NCOERs, man, those were a trip. Like writing those out. I mean, it's all bullshit, right? So for people that don't understand that, that's the way to.
It's like your annual evaluation.
It's an evaluation. It's a way to paint subordinates and peers in a light to ensure that their career advancement continues on the track that you believe. And it's very personal, like person by person. And I think because of the way that was administered was probably one of the reasons that we saw such a downfall in talent in the military. And I'm not, in no way, shape, or form am I saying that there aren't highly talented people in today's military, because I guarantee there's dudes out there that are so shit hot at what they do in this new technologically advanced military that if dinosaurs like you or I were asked to be a part of, we would have no fucking clue how to operate.
If I was able to be talked back into a uniform and serve and go like show up the first day, I probably would have get asked to go home.
100%.
That the first question I would ask is, okay, where are all the old guys? Because if you don't have us in like one platoon by ourselves, this ain't gonna work. Because all this new fandangled pussy shit that they're doing, I'm not. If I don't have to be there, if you're asking for my assistance or my presence for whatever reason, and I don't have to be there, I'm not going to put up with all this, pussyfooting around. Are we going to go and do the job or not? Right? And nowadays it seems like it's up for debate. Right? And that's what you're talking about, leadership. Like there was so many times towards the end of my career where, not in our particular unit, but we did a lot of like rail ops. So there was multiple units send people to do one big job. But there were so many other units that would send like a platoon of these people, platoon of these people. And then you hear like the privates and the specialists and the PFCs talking shit to the staff sergeant. Like, hey man, I need you to put on those gloves, put on your iPro, your hard hat, and we need to get up on this rail car and chain down this Abrams. I'm good, Sergeant. I'm good. What? But you fucking get up and put your shit on and go fucking do it. Or get the fuck out of here and don't ever come back. These staff sergeants were just like, all right, well, I guess I'll find somebody else. I wouldn't be able to operate on a team like that. Where if I'm a specialist and the other specialists and PFCs are talking shit to the, nah, I'm not going to do that. Like, hey, we need to go take this building. There's a sniper in there and our guys are coming. We need to get him. Nah, I'm good. Well, fuck you. Right? Like those are the guys that get mysteriously whacked, right? Maybe I don't know how all of that works, but I wouldn't be able to serve with that type of organ. I'm okay with not being in charge, right? I know where my strengths lie. As an infantry platoon member, I'm probably a better automatic rifleman, saw gunner, M240 Bravo gunner than I am anything else. So that's my strength. If you're going to ask me to come in and grab the little wand and sneak up and search for mines, we're all fucking dead, right? Because that's not my strength.
Y'all remember when my letter is hidden in my bag?
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Get that thing out in about 20, 30 mics.
Here, Jason, put this in your ankle pocket because you're gonna need it, Yeah. It's vastly different. And I think that's probably, if we were to talk to World War II veterans, they might say that some of the Vietnam guys were pussies. I guarantee that some of those Vietnam guys would say that we're a bunch of pussies. And I guarantee you that when and if World War III breaks out, we're going to be saying that these guys are pussies, like we kind of are now. But I think that it's valid. And maybe they thought it was valid too. But I don't know, man.
Well, I mean, certainly, I think the weakening of American resolve, it happens at in each of our homes.
Yes.
Right. The dumbing down of Americans and kind of looking at people that are assertive and strong to say that they're assholes.
Yes.
Right.
Well,
Like,
that's the easy way out.
Well, it's offended. It's your feelings. Again, I mean, fuck your feelings. That's a great t-shirt. I had the unique experience last Tuesday to go to my church and meet a handful of guys that all served, and they were Vietnam era, and we had one Korean guy. And it was funny because I have a feeling in years past they would have said exactly what you just said, that the next group of warfighters are pussies, like in comparison, because they hear about the things that are bitched and complained about. I mean, for the love of everything that is holy, people complained about when their laundry was late.
Yeah, right.
You've never had a human being touch your fucking dirty ass drawers until you went to Baghdad and had a company that came to your door to do it. And then that's what set you off for the day.
Yeah, they folded my boxers wrong. Yeah, what?
When we had, when we went, we washed our skivvies in a fucking rocket tube.
Mm-hmm.
We found a rocket tube. We made that work. And you took some hand soap and you shaved it off. And I felt like that was what the experience was going to be the second time too. Wow, was I wrong? But those guys saw it that way. So we were doing things early in that invasion that we had heard stories about from the Vietnam era guys. And we were fortunate to have, we actually had one, old Bruce Patton, old Blue. Yep. He had a couple of one-liners that I'm going to save for other shows, maybe when we get a couple of the Vietnam vets on to come and talk to us, because 3 or 4 of them had agreed to. But where I was going with this was that relation to the previous warfighter. Like, who are we? Who are we if we're not listening to who they are? The struggles that they went through. And then for them, there is a moment where you would think somebody is weak going forward. But then once you get another iteration of time beyond, you realize how dynamically different the world was from when we fought in Vietnam to when we fought in the Middle East. And then when we will eventually fight somewhere else. But, depending upon the facts, Department of Defense does waste a lot of money. But what color are these new Abrams tanks showing up in?
I don't know.
Woodland green again.
Oh, are they?
They're coming back. Well, it's got to tell you something, folks.
Yeah.
If you're too dumb to realize what color the Kirk paint is, dramatically affects where you're going to use it. Well, that's on you.
Yeah.
But there,
interesting.
Therein lies an interesting perspective that I think you as a veteran have that the lay person doesn't have. And certainly we have to pay attention to everything that's happened after COVID, after the fake nonsense they put people through. Every veteran I knew that I'm close with, again, I'll say veteran, but everybody that I was close to, like my 5 guys that I can call on a moment's notice, no questions asked, 3 a.m., meet me here. The only question is, what do I need? Every one of them had the exact same feelings that I did about all this stuff. This is all bullshit. This was all, shower up, you have 3 fucking minutes. Well, yeah, you can't shower 120 dudes in 3 minutes. It isn't going to happen. We're set up to fail. Like this is an exercise in something. There is going to be a gain that the people that are doing this are going to get out of this. If it's a psychological rebuild by shifting and changing how they can affect how you want to live your life. Did you ever feel that during that time?
They were changing the way I live life?
No, that the COVID thing was not truly about the virus. It was about something. Nobody can put their finger on it and say with absolute certainty what COVID was.
I think it was more, I think that there's some truth to the ideas about population control. I think that there's some truth about just forcing us to be obedient and trying to get us all under one thumb, right? I don't know that it was 100% about that. I mean, I think the virus, whether it was manufactured or it got out by accident.
Well, it was manufactured. I think the jury is in. There has been an adjudication.
I agree, but what I mean is like that doesn't play a role in this thought. Like it doesn't matter if it was manufactured or got out by accident. The way that it was handled and tried to be controlled was not for the virus, it was to control us.
It was to do something else.
Yeah, it was to get compliance of the American people, I believe, or
So
even the world for that matter.
Yeah, so you did. You feel it, and I
Yeah.
think that's a unique experience that most people in the military, if they felt it at the time or in retrospect, will look back upon. And you can think about that. I mean, how long was basic training? Like 5 months,
With
3.5 months, whatever it was.
9 weeks.
Was it that? Is it that short?
I think it's 11 now. I think when I went through it was 9 weeks.
Okay.
Maybe it was 11. I don't know.
Maybe, yeah. But whatever. So that period
We
of
don't
time,
even know.
I mean, and I'll tell you, for everybody, I mean, y'all that have been through it, you know how awesome it was. But every one of those things that they had us doing was all conditioning, right? The psychological breakdown. I mean, we always, you know, the phrase goes, "Oh, they break you down to build you back up."
Yeah.
You don't realize how absolutely great they are at this. And
Oh,
they're not doing
fantastic.
it in the ways. It's not like when we as fathers reprimand and create situations for our kids, you know, where your kid does something wrong, immediate corrective action. Like we parent like everybody else does. We parent with corrective actions after the instance. But in basic training, they're kind of they manipulate left of bang. And that's what I think COVID did, was restructured a lot of different things in different ways for all of them to become palatable over time. Just like basic training, you're not going to break somebody down in a day, but I'm going to have that first instance, right? So maybe this was that first night in reception battalion. They came out and they started beating the shit out of that, you know, that steel garbage can to wake you up. That was that time. And now everything that we're seeing and feeling after is all of the manipulation to get us to where they want us. I feel. I'm probably wrong, but I think,
Well, who could tell you that you're perceiving or feeling it wrong? I think that there's a real. Boy, I just lost my thought. Sorry, I lost what I was going to say.
it'll come back, but maybe it's like when you hop in the back of the 5-ton when you're down at basic, you know, and they're bringing you somewhere. Well, you know, you're going to do something, you know, and you're trying to be perceptive, right? You're feeling the bumps in the road. Are we in sand? Are we on the road? Are we doing this? And you're trying to count the rights and the lefts, you know, to spatially try to understand. Maybe, you know, if you left from this place, you can kind of feel the area that you're in, so you know what you're going to be doing,
Right.
you know. And I think people that have served in the military have a little greater perception of that. Furthermore, that is going to be a shirt we're making in
Furthermore,
26. So if anybody out there, just one comment, and I will ensure that Goose Garments makes up the finest Furthermore t-shirt for Sir Leonard.
is
And get it
furthermore
on.
not a good word to use?
No, it's a wonderful word.
Do I use
but
it too much?
nobody uses it as much as you, and it's wonderful. I
Really?
love Furthermore.
I feel like it just fits.
It does.
Okay. Well, anyway,
Now that I destroyed your thought
Yeah.
pattern and path, bring it
I know what
back.
I was going to say.
All right.
I think that there would be a lot of people that would say when they joined, like I told you, I wasn't really super into it, blah, 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 but I grew to fucking love it. By the time basic training was over, I'll be honest with you, my biggest fear going to basic training was under no circumstances do I want to get up at 4:30 and go run a mile, 5 miles, 3 blocks. Nothing. There's nothing I want to do at 4:30 in the morning that coincides with physical activity.
Right.
And so like I was dreading it. I was completely taken back by it. Like I didn't know how I was going to get through because I was never a runner anyway, right? I was the fat kid on the offensive defensive line. I wasn't running touchdowns. And by the time it was over, bro, I couldn't wait to get up in the morning and go for a run. I couldn't wait to get into formation and do all those gay ass stretches, but you do it in unison and everyone is sounding off correctly and everyone's moving the same. And then we did DNC and you're marching and you're singing cadence and you learn what a fucking reverse march is and all this other stuff. You know, all these this really cool. I loved it.
Right.
Then we went and did our FTX, and we were outside, we were out in the woods for 2 days, and we got gassed, and it sucked because they partnered me with a dude who was 4'11" and couldn't carry his own water and rifle, let alone his rucksack and all of his gear. So I had to.
Okay.
And when we had to dig our foxhole, right? You build it deeper, 2 foot deeper than the tallest man. Well, this dickhead, he shoveled 4 feet of dirt and then went and found a place to take a nap somewhere hiding. So then not only did I have to dig the rest of it myself, but I got in trouble because I didn't know where my battle buddy was. And then we got gassed twice because he's a fucking dipshit. But graduation came and I loved it.
Right.
Went on to AIT, loved it. And so like you just they call it brainwashing, but as you said earlier, they do tear you down. You don't even know
What's happening.
and they build you back up in this and some people, they'll say we're brainwashed, they'll say that we're cucks or whatever the fuck that narrative is. But I'll tell you what, when you're rebuilt and you look in the mirror and you have this newfound confidence, right? Like Iron Eagle, right? I had this. You ever seen Iron Eagle?
Oh yeah.
So I had like this Doug Masters and Chappie on the tape moment at basic training where I was standing in my dress uniform, right? I was standing. My mom and my grandma were coming, so I wanted to make sure my shit was right. And I was standing in the mirror, and like out of just the side of my head, could hear, "Wear this uniform like an Iron Eagle that nothing can penetrate." Like Chappie was talking to me and, it was just fucking awesome, dude. And those are the things that keep you going back for more. I'm going to re-enlist. I want to do more. I want to fight in both Iraq and Afghanistan, which I never got the chance to do. But there was, you make more goals and things to do with your military career. And right before I went in, I was fucking dreading it. I didn't want to go, bro. But I didn't have a choice. And I knew it was either probably the military or drugs, jail, a bunch of baby mamas or some dumb shit, It was the best thing for me. Even though, unless I was pushed, I wouldn't have done it on my own. I went to join the military. There was not one chance in hell that I'd have been sitting playing Xbox at 20 years old going, fuck this, I'm going to go join the army.
Right.
This is dumb.
Right.
That just wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's not a lot of things from the outside looking in that feel appealing. And it's normally the things that they're not the sexy sales items that people think the military to be.
Yeah.
It's the camaraderie. It's exactly what we're talking about. It's no different than being in church. You're
Mhm.
around a group of people that are all barking the same frequency, and everybody is working together towards a cumulative goal. And truly, you do have the super pickle suit. See, did you even get woodland camo?
Oh, yeah.
Shit. So at least
Yeah.
you did get a little bit of time in the greatest era of the United States Army.
You could have precisionally shaved is precisionally even a word? Furthermore, you could have shaved your beard with extreme precision using my boots as a mirror. I learned how to shine boots real good at basic training. And we bought this Angelus wax. They have the guy that comes on post like, hey, you can get this lifetime barrel of wax for $250, And so I bought it, right? And I probably still have it in a box somewhere. I didn't even get halfway through it. But yeah, dude. And when we went away from shining boots, at first I was like, fucking sweet, dude. But after a while, I missed it.
I wore my black boots 2006. I think it ended on that deployment. We were wearing the stupid ACUs. Fucking nonsense. I think I literally, in my short time in the military, I had 3 different uniforms. Woodland, DCU, we had the chocolate chip DCU that had no dark spots on it, and then the ACU. Like 3 distinct.
You got the chocolate chips, huh?
No, there was, obviously we were early, but you'll see like the pictures of the dudes sitting on the gold in the dumpster, like on the memes. That was the DCU that we got.
Okay.
So there were no dark chocolate chips. That was strictly a 91 thing.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
But yeah, we
Those
got the
are sweet.
desert camouflage uniform, which I'm sure that they probably made back in 91 because the stitches and that shit lasted about fucking 6 minutes when you put them on. And my ball sack was floating around the country of Iraq that entire time. I now understand more why those guys wear dresses, because it stays nice and cool if you're just hanging brain. And I don't know really where I was going. Oh, it was back to the black boots.
Wait a minute. We can't just fast forward past past hanging brain.
That's just hanging brain, man.
I've never heard that before.
Yeah,
that's
hanging brain.
Gold. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
For all of you who didn't know, hanging brain feels great.
Hanging brain.
Continue.
Balls out for Harambe. But I wore my black boots with my ACUs and
until like the very end of the suspense
first started
days?
sober. Absolutely hated it. He's like, throw them on. I'm like, no, they were jump boots.
Mm-hmm.
They were light, and
like
I've
slippers.
got larger feet than most. And so a lot of the boots that they were issuing out, they were pre-Converse. It was like this first or second iteration of shit. And I said, no, I absolutely won't wear them. So I brought them forward, and at midnight local time, pound on the ice house. Top comes walking in. I say, hey, what can I do for you, Top?
Give them to me.
Retire those fucking boots. Looks at it, 12 o'clock. And I'm like, roger that. Put them away, and I had to wear those fucking pajama fucking bottoms with those fucking boots were terrible. They looked like mushrooms that you had flipped and inverted with hairs like a half inch. They caught every speck of moon dust. They weighed about 17 pounds after 2 days.
Yeah, that mud was pretty gnarly over there, wasn't it? When it would rain in Iraq, and the mud was just.
Oh, it was.
I bet I probably still have it on some gear in boxes somewhere.
I don't. Yeah. I wish I would have kept a little bit, because I can't explain it to anybody. I remember the first time that we got rain in our first deployment, we were up around Ashraf, and we were walking around, and it was just enough to like get the top quarter inch wet.
Mm-hmm.
And I bet that moon dust was, I mean, it's a foot deep. So every time you take a step, you move about 3 inches. Yeah. Because all of your force and energy just goes into the sand and is depleted, and you're just kind of thumping your legs forward.
I don't know how they do it, but they've lived there for centuries, man. And that stuff it destroys things. The sand there is really
so fine.
Destructive.
Now, I remember we'd be sitting there, we'd be walking around, and he'd be scraping. I wore Ripple soles. I loved Ultima Ripple soles, but they filled up the fastest.
Yeah.
And then pretty soon you're a half mile out and you're walking, and fuck, the whole team looks like a bunch of dudes like LARPing as Kiss, because we're on platform boots now. We're about, I'm 6'9". I look over. Dude. Gerling finally is over, 6'3". Chosh barely hitting 5'10". And I'm just like, what the fuck is? And then you look down and you realize, the front of your legs burn so incredibly hot from walking in that nonsense, and you don't realize when you have that much weight on your feet, like how much effort you're exerting just to do this simple task of walking. But anyway, I don't know how the fuck we ended up here, but I want to.
Well, this is kind of our MO, man, and I think it's one thing that's kind of unique to you and I doing a show together, is that our intended topic never stays our topic, and I think that it's a good thing. I think it's more genuine. You know what I mean? But we have been on for an hour and 20 minutes, so
we're breaking this thing into 2.
We have blown this into quite an episode. But I think we should cut.
Love it.
Do you have any final thoughts that you want to put out? I don't know that we even have a direct.
No, I just
want to be creative title,
dude. I want to thank you, because that was kind of one of those things. I was like, man, I want to get a better understanding of you and your experience, and that was a lot of fun for me. So thank you.
Well, next time we're going to get a better understanding of your experience.
No, you won't.
Yes, we will, and I think that we're going to have a guest to help explain your experience.
Hope not.
His initials are J.O. And the subpoena has already been put out.
You've already drafted it.
Anyway, folks, we're going to end for the day. Thanks for checking us out. We really love you a lot. Jason, thank you for your time. We'll be back with you all again very soon. Have a good rest. Also, good luck with Snowmageddon. Make sure you get your shit plowed out and auger out your holes, all those things. Fish are biting. We'll see you later. Have a good day.